Hello, I'm Shalom Yiblit, and this is a screencast on how to use the APA format. The APA format is used in the social sciences, so that means anthropology, sociology, and psychology, but it can also be used for any other discipline. It's not completely inherently made for the social sciences, so you can use it for anything you want. That being said, let's talk about the actual formatting of the APA format. First of all, you need to make sure to have one-in margins all around the page. In addition, everything is written in Times New Roman 12 font, and everything has to be double-spaced. The header of the APA format is fairly simple. All you have to do is write the title of the work capitalized and the page number. On the first page, you have to write running head and then the title of the work. That's the only real difference. Also, the first page is the title page. You have to write the title of the work, the page number, the author, and the affiliated school. On the second page, you must write the abstract. The abstract is essentially just a paragraph that gives you a brief synopsis on what the text is about. You'll also make sure to not indent the abstract. The main body, in comparison to the abstract, is about exactly the same, except, of course, much larger. The only real difference between the abstract's body paragraphs and the main body's body paragraphs is that the paragraphs this time are indented. Now let's talk about in-text citations. The standard in-text citation has the author's last name, the year it was written, and the page number. But of course, if you're citing a source that doesn't have a page number, like for example a website, you can just write the author's last name and the year it was written. In addition, if you don't know the author's last name, you can just write the title of the work instead of the author's last name. Also, there's a specific thing that you have to do if you have multiple authors in one work. You have to make sure to write for the first citation. You have to make sure to write every single author's last name, and you have to use the ampersand symbol instead of and when you list them. On the second and third and the sequential times you reference the same source, you don't have to write every single author's last name. Instead, you can write the first author's last name and ETAL, which stands for and others in Latin. In addition, if you've already said where the source comes from, like for example here, I write down the author's last name here, you don't have to write it in those parentheses anymore. So I wrote the author's last name here, so I didn't have to write it right here. Also, if you don't know the date of the author, you can simply write ND instead of the year, which ND stands for no date. Now let's go to the references section. The references section is fairly simple. Usually people don't actually write the references by themselves. For example, I used Noodle Tools to write my references. For the sake of explaining what Noodle Tools is, let's make a small quick project on how to use the Noodle Tools. So what you do is you press Create Project, and then you have to pick the citation style, which is APA, the citation level, which should be advanced, and a description. I wrote sample. Okay, it doesn't allow me to use sample, so I'll use something else. And then, of course, you have to write you have to click bibliography. On this section, it's actually fairly straightforward. So first you have to pick the citation type, and for this sample, let's say you found a book. Now you simply continue onto the section, and you'll get into a place where you just can write down the portions of the text that you know about. So let's, for example, say that you found a very good book by Jane Austen that you want to cite. So let's give it a title, and I don't know, a volume, and a publisher. Two with a city. 22 Alexandria, and a state, of course. You don't actually have to write every single white space that you have to fill out. If you don't know the edition or the series name of the text, it's okay to simply leave that blank. That being said, it's not exactly, credible if you leave many different places blank. If you can fill out anything about the text, of course remember to fill it out, because it's completely it helps you entirely well if you do that. So now let's go on to submit this citation. Noodle Tools will now create a citation of the work. Now, if you finish, now for the sake of making everything shorter, let's go on to my pre-written citations and see what happens when you're finished. So I have here a bunch of citations from various different sources, and once you're done with your citations, what you need to do is press export right here. Noodle Tools will give you a download for an export of the copy, a citation copy. See here, you have a copy of the citations, and here's another copy of my references. So what you need to do then is simply press copy from here, copy, and paste it into your original document. So let's just paste it. Once you do that, make sure always to keep the source formatting when you paste it. Once you do that, you will have a reference that directly follows the APA format. And also, it's the easiest way to do it. But if you don't have Noodle Tools, there's also various other options around the internet that do the same thing as Noodle Tools. And that concludes this screencast. If you have any more questions, feel free to contact me or the Edison Writing Center. Thank you. Bye.